It's a beautiful Friday night for baseball in the Steel City, and we welcome you to PNC Park, one of the best ballparks in the big leagues. It's the home of the Pirates, and they're trying to get back on the winning track. They're 40-32 on the year, and the Braves winless so far on this two-city road trip. Hi again, friends. Chip and Joe. Welcome to Pittsburgh. Atlanta and the Pirates meeting in the second series. Atlanta won't face A.J. Burnett. They won't face Garrett Cole, but they still have a tough assignment tonight. Francisco Liriano goes to the post for the Pittsburghers.
He's one of the best left-handers in all of baseball, either league. And despite what his record might say, he's pitching good baseball right now as well. He throws hard, has an awesome slider that makes it very tough on right-handed hitters. And the Pirates have seen Williams Perez. He made a start against them earlier this month. Did not pitch particularly well, but his offense took him off the hook, so he got a no decision. That's why he's still 4-0, but he's got to cut down on those 5 walks that he issued to the Pirates the first time around.
And hopefully the Braves' bats will come to life and score some runs against an opposing starting pitcher, something they couldn't do against the Nationals. It's Game 1, Braves and Pirates baseball, coming up right after the break.
Atlanta Braves baseball.
Beautiful night in Pittsburgh. We're just about set for our first pitch between the Braves and Pittsburgh Pirates. Atlanta enters play at 10-13 this month, and hopeful of a good series against the homestanding Pirates, who suffered through the same thing Atlanta did. A little too much Washington Nationals-itis ran through the bat rack of the Pittsburgh ball club. Braves enter play today, 5 games out of first in the National League East. These are the men in black or blue, depending on your ability to tell the difference between those two colors. The umpires is assigned by the National League tonight. Milwaukee has the plate. John Tumpaines at first, James Hoy at second, and John Hirschbeck, the crew chief, is the umpire at third. Atlanta has a different looking lineup tonight for the skipper, Freddie Gonzalez. And it's most notable in the number 2 spot. Yuri Perez is hitting second for Cameron Maybin, who gets the night off. Nick Markakis third. Chris Johnson at first base fourth. Uribe at third. Simmons, Gomes, Lavarnway behind the plate with a left-hander on the mound. And Williams Perez is going to pitch and bat ninth.
Sometimes Freddie Gonzalez goes with matchups, and certainly that was a case tonight when it had to do with Cameron Maybin. Even though he's a right-handed hitter, he's not in there against Liriano. He's 0 for 5 with 5 strikeouts in his career against Liriano. So somebody else will get a crack at him tonight.
And when the Pirates finally take the field, we promise this is what their defensive lineup is going to look like. Pittsburgh with 51 errors this year. Marte, McCutchen, and Polanco can really go get him in the outfield. Josh Harrison, a jack of all trades, is the third baseman tonight. Jordy Mercer starts for the 12th straight game at shortstop. Pittsburgh native Neil Walker at second. Converted third baseman Pedro Alvarez at first. And Chris Stewart will catch the pitches of Francisco Liriano, a guy whose record, Joe, is really deceiving at 4-6 on the year.
Yeah, and a 3.26 ERA. But take a look at this. This is a guy whose fastball is in the low to mid-90s with a slider and a changeup. But it's the right-handers who were taking the brunt of his work this year. Yes, they hit more homers, but just a 170 average against him because of that devastating slider. And he will lock right-handers up both with a back foot slider and in on their hands. He's a good one. Last year, 7-10 on the year. In his first year with the Pirates with a 3.38 ERA. Twice he's been the comeback player of the year, both once in the American League and once here in the National League. So there have been some ups and downs in his career, but right now he's pitching great.
And he was the man victimized by Max Scherzer's no-hitter against the Washington Nationals. It was Liriano who opposed Scherzer in that ball game. A game won by the Nationals by a final score of 5-0. Perfect night, 76 degrees, decent humidity, but the weather forecast this weekend is not particularly good. We don't expect to have any weather problems tonight for game one, and that's always good. Coming to Pittsburgh, always a treat. This is one of my favorite parks. Beautiful view of downtown, the Roberto Clemente Bridge. And with the Pirates playing good baseball, lots and lots of fans to watch the Braves and Pirates play this weekend.
Yeah, it's always a great place to watch a game. They did an awesome job.
So Jace Peterson looks for his first hit of the road trip. He's at .269 for the year. A couple of homers. And first night from Liriano is off the plate. We're underway. And there's a strike on a 77-degree night. 1 ball, 1 strike for Jace. The strikeout was a big problem for him against the Nationals. And a cue shot foul is out of play, 1-2.
Yeah, he went 0 for Nationals Park, 0 for 13.
So let's hope that Peterson and Perez can be a spark at the top tonight. As Liriano skipped one into the right-hand batter's box, and that evens the count.
.88 innings of work so far for Liriano, 105 strikeouts.
And that's bounced off the Pirate catcher, Chris Stewart. Peterson hanging tough here in his first at bat of the night. Braves in their road gray unis with the Atlanta script across the chest. Pirates with their home black uniforms with the golden Pittsburgh P on the left chest. And now the 2-2 is bounced to the right side. Alvarez has it, race to the bag, and Pedro wins it. And the ball game's underway with a ground out to first. That is something, if the Pirates pitchers are pitching well, you will see a lot of this series. Their pitching coach is Ray Searage. He's an excellent instructor. He preaches pitch to contact. The Pirates get a lot of ground ball outs.
Ton of ground ball outs. They have pitchers who work well under his tutelage because of the way they pitch. They're among the league leaders in ground ball percentage.
And here's Yuri Perez batting second for Cameron Maybin tonight. And he showed bunt and took low. 1 ball, no strikes. Same thing we were asking for in Washington applies in this series. Early runs would be a big help. And that's down and in. 2 balls, no strikes. Runs of any sort, quite frankly, would be a big help.
Absolutely.
Braves scored 13 runs in their last 7 games. And a shot to left by Perez. He's around first. Big turn there, and he'll slam on the brakes. Wise decision. Good throw from Starling Marte. And Yuri Perez with a 1-out single.
He's now 7 for 23 since his call up, and he's getting to play every day, so that certainly helps. And has given him a little bit of confidence, too, when he goes to the plate. Moves up to number 2 in the order tonight. Let's see if Freddie Gonzalez turns him loose. We've not seen him attempt a stolen base yet.
And he had 28 of those with Gwinnett. Nick Markakis the batter. Nick hitting .319 this month. Had 6 hits and 13 tries against Washington. For left-handed hitters, this is a terrific ballpark to hit in. Right field foul pole's only 320 feet away from home plate. Of course, you've got the 21-foot high wall out there. So maybe this is a place that Markakis can get on the home run board for the Braves. Good lead at first. And it's swept away to Markakis. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Nick's had some good luck against him, too, in the past. 6 for 17. Not a lot of lefties can claim that.
Up the middle. Mercer at short, steps on the bag in one motion, throws to first. Markakis and the Braves are doubled up in the top half of the inning. Ground ball out. It's a story for Liriano to start his night. Pirates are 22-13 at home. They're 8 games behind the Cardinals in the National League Central. Josh Harrison leads off their Academy Sports and Outdoors batting order. Walker, McCutchen, Marte, Alvarez. That's a pretty salty starting 5. Then Jordy Mercer, the shortstop. Polanco in right as a youngster. Stewart and Liriano, the battery. And Williams Perez can't pitch any better than he has. He's 4-0 to start his big league career.
And if there's a problem for him, primarily it is in the first inning. A 5.14 ERA in the first inning has given him some trouble in the past, and it did his last time out. his 4 keys to pitching success tonight. Number 1, this Pirates team has the highest OPS on the first pitch of any team in baseball. They like going after the first one. He's got to be aware of that. And 9/18 hasn't got anything to do with the date. It has to do with walks. In the month of June, his 3 starts in June, he's walked 9 batters in 18 innings. He's got to cut down on that a little bit.
And he will face a man that maybe the Golden Spikes Award winner.
Oh, he has to be. I mean, he may be blinding Ryan LaVarnway at home plate. Woo! Those are neon. And flashing some different kind of socks, too. Pirates got some new socks.
Like those. I'm not too sure about the shoes, though. And for me, that's saying something.
I was just going to say.
It's inside. Oh, what?
I didn't think you'd ever seen a pair you wouldn't wear.
Yeah, well.
I guess we have now.
There we go. That's in for a strike. 1-1. This guy's a good player. Josh Harrison. Real valuable player. Can play anywhere for you. And he can hit. 285 average. And 4 for 9 against the Braves this year. And a slow roller toward Uribe at third. He'll charge. Glove. Grab. And throw to first in time. And that's out number 1. So different look on the Atlanta infield corners. That highlights our CPI Security Braves defensive lineup. Uribe and Chris Johnson at third and first. Simmons and Peterson up the middle. LaVarnway and Perez behind the plate and center. Gomes in left. Markakis is in right. Perez gets a ground ball out to start his night. They face second baseman Neil Walker. Walker's hit 4 homers. His last came against Williams Perez in Atlanta.
Boy, it was a long one, too.
And that's his only hit this year against the Braves. He's 1 for 9. Two quick strikes for Walker with Andrew McCutchen waiting next. A shot toward Markakis in right. Broke back. Now comes racing in and gets there for the second out. Here's McCutchen, our T-Mobile game changer.
He had a rotten beginning to his season. First 6 weeks weren't much to talk about. You can see before May 20th, his batting average and on base, etc., not very good. But since then, he's been on a tear. And the team has gone 22-10 since he got hot.
Problem with that for the Pirates is not that they've done anything wrong, but the Cardinals haven't either. They can't catch St. Louis. In fact, if the Pirates played in the National League East, they'd be a half game out of first. If they played in the West, they'd be a game out. As it stands now, they're 8 behind the Redbirds. McCutchen takes inside. 1 ball, 1 strike. Love watching this guy play. Love everything about his game. He can do it all.
And he plays it the right way.
Perez not wasting any time. Back to work for McCutchen. It's at a mile high toward right. Markakis long run, and that's slicing into the stands. Foul. 1-2. Another thing to like about McCutchen, he's had a bad knee, and he refuses to use that for any kind of excuse when things don't go well for him. And he did not have a good series at the plate in Atlanta.
He was 3 for 14, but did hit a homer. But we saw several times where he really labored to get to first base.
1-2 pitch is outside. It's even 2-2. McCutchen, part of this very young core of Pittsburgh Pirates, but now entering the prime years of his career. Fouled away. A ricochet off Clint Hurdle's backside, and it's 2-2 count for McCutchen. Swing and a miss. Didn't get the change. And Williams Perez has no first inning trouble in Pittsburgh tonight. Beautiful pitch. McCutchen can't believe he missed it. 3 up, 3 down to the Pittsburgh first. We go to the second. Scoreless in game 1 at PNC Park. Ford Keys tonight with a perfect 1-2-3 first inning. As we head to the second, let's check out tonight's Home Depot tools from the dugout.
The pitching staff in their major league ranks, not just National League, really good. ERA, average, OPS. There's that ground ball percentage. They are actually #1. They already have a double play tonight turned behind him. So it's been a great staff for him.
Maybe the Pirates are the poster child for how teams are successful in Major League Baseball these days. Explain why after the first pitch to Chris Johnson, which missed ball 1. You look at their offensive numbers, middle of the road, really bottom middle offensively.
Yeah.
But top of the package, you see offense from a pitching standpoint. It's about run prevention, not about run scoring for Pittsburgh, it would seem.
It does. And that double play they turned in the first inning was their 82nd of the year. Only one team has more double plays turned.
That ball smoked towards center, and McCutchen will play it on a hop. Chris Johnson with a good start to his night.
And the team that has more double plays turned is the Atlanta Braves, who has one more. They've passed the Pirates, have 83. So a good swing by Chris against the left-handed pitcher. That should not be a surprise to anyone.
Leadoff hit begins the Atlanta second. Here's Juan Uribe. He's hitting .268. He's hit a dry spell. Juan's hitless in his last 14 at bats. And that's blooped into shallow right. That's going to break the streak. Chris Johnson around second, on his way to third. The throw is cut off, and Atlanta has him at the corners with nobody out.
Great read by Chris. He was in a perfect position to be able to see that that ball was going to drop in front of Polanco. Something else happened too that helped Chris's cause. Polanco's got a very good arm, but when it dropped, it had that funny bite to it, that good spin, and caused him to have to lunge for it a little bit. You'll see it here. He had to cross over to get it. So good start to the inning.
First and third, nobody out. Here's Simmons. He had 2 RBIs against the Pirates back in Atlanta, and he had a big cut and didn't get it. Strike 1. Chris Johnson, a good lead at third, short lead by Uribe at first, and Liriano missed down and in.
You were talking about the Pirates' record and the fact that they're having to climb uphill against the Cardinals, but they are 13-6 against the National League East and 9-0 at home against the East. Undefeated here.
Time to change that. 1 ball, 1 strike. Instead to first.
They swept the Marlins, they swept the Mets, and they swept the Phillies.
They're trying to hold off the Cubs, who are a half game behind them in 3rd place in the division. As we said, the Cardinals with a whopping 8-game lead. 1-1 pitch is off the plate. 2 balls and a strike. Braves have been an excellent hitting team with runners in scoring position. Anderson part of that. Club hitting .292 collectively. And that one popped up. Walker drifts back. He's going to have plenty of room. And Johnson's going to fake a tag. He's not going anywhere. Uribe wanders halfway between first and second. Nobody covers the first base bag. There's the first out of the inning. Simmons can't bring home Johnson. 1 out. And that'll bring up Johnny Gomes. He's 1 for 10 against Liriano.
And that's what Liriano wanted, was an out that didn't get a run across. And that was either going to be by way of a strikeout or a pop-up, and he got the pop-up. Even a ground ball would have gotten a run in because they were playing back for a double play.
So Gomes, then Lavarnway, we hope, in the second. First and third, 1 out. And that's fouled at the plate. Johnny Gomes, our Georgia lottery, hitting the jackpot. Here's his body of work in PNC Park.
Goodness. 351. 6 extra base hits.
Much of that work came while Johnny was a Red. Central Division rival of the Pirates. 0-1. Off the plate. Gentle breeze blowing in tonight. 1-1 count. And Stewart smothered that, saved a run. 2 balls and a strike. If you hit it out to left, you've really got to hit it for it to go in Pittsburgh. 383 feet to left, 410 to left center, 399 to straightaway center. Dead pull right hand hitter, you're rewarded down the line. At left field, the big field defensively at PNC Park.
And it plays big. It's not a cookie cutter ballpark by any means. It's got its own little nooks and corners.
Gomes takes a walk, and the Braves have him loaded in the second inning. Liriano not sharp yet. Let's see if Ryan Lavarnway can make him pay with the first run of the night. Ryan has 1 hit as a Brave. That came against Matt Harvey in Atlanta, and he almost hit it out of the ballpark. Right off the top of the fence back at Turner Field.
And that was in a scoreless game, and he did that with 2 outs.
No place to put him, and Ryan's ahead in the count. 1 ball, no strikes. In the dirt.
Well, he's really struggling here. Stewart going to go out and try to calm him down a little bit. Good count for Lavarnway. Be patient, just as Gomes was. Johnny, wanted to drive that guy in from third, but he didn't swing at any bad pitches that were down and somewhere in the dirt.
Not close. Now he's got to throw a strike or he's down a run. And he missed with 4 straight. A bases loaded walk to Ryan Lavarnway brings home Chris Johnson, and the Braves have scored first. And Ray Searage will quickly make his way to the mound. Back-to-back walks.
And at this point, it doesn't matter how they come across.
Right.
On the board first for the first time in a long time.
And now Williams Perez will bat with the bases full. 1-0 Atlanta. Back-to-back hits. A pop out, then back-to-back walks. Jace Peterson awaits the outcome of the Williams Perez at bat here in the second inning.
After a pitcher's meeting on the mound, you squeeze. First pitch is a good time to do it. But nothing happening.
Sarcastic cheer as Liriano found the strike zone. Little pop beyond first. Alvarez drifts back. He's going to make the play in foul ground. Perez almost hit it into a perfect spot, but Pedro Alvarez tracked it down, and that's the second out of the inning.
Almost a thing of beauty.
Now a tougher test for Liriano. You've got Jace Peterson up. There are 2 outs now. Uribe at third, Gomes at second, Lavarnway at first. And a strike.
Hard to hang in there on this guy when he's throwing that breaking ball, and your first inclination is to try to pull everything against him.
And swept outside. Good eye by Chase. And the 1-2 is cut on and missed. And that will retire the side. The Braves load them up, get a bases loaded walk, and score the game's first run.
A run thanks to a leadoff single by Chris Johnson, and a run scored. And the Braves have talked about how they know they have to step up in the absence of Freddie Freeman. And talking to Chris earlier today, he said, tonight it is on me. It is my job to get on base, drive guys in, and make up for that absence of Freeman. He said, we're kind of missing that presence that he brings to the lineup. He brings a presence that makes guys around him, makes it easier for them to hit, and the other team realizes that. So Chris Johnson getting the job done so far tonight.
He's 1 for 1, Christina. Thank you. And yes, Freddie Freeman got a platelet-rich plasma injection in his sore wrist. It is hoped he'll be back before the All-Star break. It is not a certainty, however, that he'll be back. And he is missed. Second inning, Starling Marte, Pedro Alvarez, and Jordy Mercer are coming up. Williams Perez looked sharp in the first inning with a strikeout. He now pitches with a 1-0 lead. No balls and a strike. This guy's been a tough out for the Braves. They've got to figure out Starling Marte. 15 hits against Atlanta in his last 10 games against the Braves. And Uribe should take care of him with that ground ball. He does. 1 out.
And Marte had a good series in Atlanta. 3 for 10 with a homer, a couple of walks.
Pedro Alvarez, 28 years young, now the first baseman for the Pirates. He's hit 10 homers and is a .234 hitter. He hits a slow roller right side. Chris Johnson has it and had to push Williams Perez out of the way at first, but he got there ahead of Alvarez for the second out.
That was almost a baseball version of a pick and roll, because Williams would have been doing the rolling if he got out of the way.
We've seen one too many stop, drop, and roll plays, though, haven't we? Yeah. So 2 quick outs, and here's Mercer. Mercer was 3 for 13 against Atlanta pitching back at Turner Field. As I mentioned, starting for the 12th consecutive game at shortstop, they have another player they imported from Korea, Jung-Ho Kang, who is a better offensive threat. Mercer the better defender at this point. Although Clint Hurdle says he likes watching Gong play third base too. You might see him there before this series is over.
We did in Atlanta, didn't we? When he had third base in Atlanta.
We might have. We did. A shot toward the gap in right center field. Perez on the run. Can't get there. Markakis backs him up. And Mercer in at second with a 2-out double. Perez kept going and going and going and just couldn't come up with the fly ball.
You know what? I didn't think either one of them had a play on this ball at all when it came off the bat. And that breeze you're talking about may have pushed it away from Yuri Perez a little bit. Had a good jump on it. He was tracking it, and he just kept slicing and pushing away from him. Right off the edge of his glove.
So it's double for Mercer, his 10th. That's the first Pirates hit. And it brings up Gregory Polanco. This young man right now is a diamond in the rough for the Pirates. He's only 23 years old, and they really like him a lot. There's a lot to like.
And he had a good series in Atlanta, 5 for 9. But since then, it's been a little rough sledding for him. 4 for his last 30.
But with Jose Tabata also on this team, Pirates can pick and choose opportunities for Polanco, give him favorable matchups.
He's a good defender. He's got a good arm. It's a good combination. You're right.
And what a weapon. When you need a guy to break up a perfect game, there's nobody better than Jose Tabata. Mercer at second, 2 outs. Polanco the hitter, and behind in the count. And now Lavarnway wants to make sure he and Perez are on the same page. Washington's in Philly tonight. Max Scherzer is pitching and leading 1-0. That's in the 3rd inning. Big story out of Philadelphia today. Ryan Sandberg, if you missed it, resigned as the manager of the Phillies today. Pete Mackanin will be the interim manager for the homestand for the Phillies. As that ball's in the dirt. 2 balls, 2 strikes. I feel for Ryan. He didn't really have much of a chance with the talent that the Phillies had at the end of last year and this year.
No, when they fired Charlie Manuel, it was pretty apparent that things were going downhill quickly in terms of their age and talent and ability there. And there was nothing Ryan could do about that.
Nope. I've known Ryan a long time. I know you've interacted with him too. He's obviously a great baseball guy, Hall of Famer. Watching him at the press conference today, he looked 100 years old. The weight of that job, and what he said was the losing just got to him. He just couldn't handle that part of it. There's more losing ahead for the Phillies before things get better. Strike 3, Perez backed that one up over the inside corner, and Polanco was left frozen. Pittsburgh gets a 2-out double, but nothing else. 1-0 Braves. '17, 2005.
It's funny every time. And he's so dizzy he can't get up.
And we only point that out because the Hall of Fame induction ceremonies are about a month away for John Smoltz. And we're thrilled for him and his family. Braves country awfully proud. And what a class. John Smoltz will go in with Craig Biggio, Randy Johnson, and Pedro Martinez. That's quite a group. That's a great group. And don't forget to tune in to John Smoltz, a Hall of Fame career, another award-winning episode of Driven, Friday, July 10th on Fox Sports South. 1-0 Braves. We go to the 3rd. It'll be Perez, Markakis, and Chris Johnson against Francisco Liriano. And the baseball got loose from the left field stands. Starling Marte will take care of that. Liriano's not real sharp tonight. It's not yet.
He doesn't look comfortable to me. He's kind of, from what we're used to seeing, he's kind of falling all over the mound after he delivers.
And that's lined over first. Perez is 2 for 2. And time for our Coors Light Cold Hard Facts. This is good to see Atlanta getting something done against a left-handed pitcher.
No doubt about it. 25th in the major leagues out of 30 in average. 29th in OPS. Only 7 homers coming into this game and 480 at bats against left-handed pitching. So a good start to this game against a guy who's normally mighty tough.
4 hits, 2 walks for the Braves offense. Perez at first for Nick Markakis, who was doubled up in the opening inning. Perez has a good lead and draws a throw.
Last inning when Chris Johnson led off with a single, I was watching his move to the plate, and Liriano was using a slide step just about every time, and it was quick, meaning it would be hard to get a good jump.
One ball, no strikes.
Chris Stewart behind the plate has got a good arm too. 36% is his number on caught stealings, which is real good.
That's inside. Chris Stewart's trying to rein in a bucking Bronco right now. Liriano doesn't know where the ball's going. Already 40 pitches and nobody out in the inning. Pirates do not want to have to go into their bullpen. They had to play 13 innings last night. Braves are trying to wait him out in game 1. And that one is strike. Pirates bullpens pitched 26 innings in the last 5 games played.
That's a lot.
They are overworked right now. Bouncing ball to Alvarez. He'll fire to second for 1. And no play at first. Liriano late to the first base bag. And Perez went in hard to break it up with Mercer handling the throw. Forced play at second, 1 out.
Nice quick feed too by Alvarez, the former third baseman. He got rid of it quickly. Really put something on his throw. But Perez did go in there fast and hard. And the left-handed Liriano falling off the mound to the third base side. Took him a while to get there.
So Markakis trades places with Perez. Chris Johnson, the batter, he singled and scored in the second. And that's a little low. Chris in the lineup because of his good work against left-handed pitching. Didn't get it. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Chased a changeup there. That wasn't a good pitch, but he's came into the game hitting .407 against lefties. So that's nothing new for him.
Change. Stayed high. Even count.
3 straight change-ups. First 2 were good. That one was not.
By the way, that Washington game, Scherzer's trying to throw a no-hitter for the 2nd straight game. He's 6 up, 6 down on 15 pitches against the Phillies so far, so we'll keep an eye on that.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
2-2 the count for Chris Johnson. Markakis leads, and it's fouled away. Johnny Vandermeer, man that threw no-hitters in back-to-back starts, 1938. Good battle with Chris Johnson here in the 3rd. Braves got a bases loaded walk from Ryan Lavarnway in the 2nd to score the game's only run. He's spinning out of everything now. Full count.
Remember when Shelby Miller had that rough start in Arizona and he just couldn't quite slow himself down enough to corral his mechanics, and he kept falling off? There's some similarities to Liriano in that tonight.
Double play ball hit to short. There's the turn and the scoop. The changeup's been his best pitch, and he used it there to get his 2nd ground ball double play. Bottom of the 3rd inning, still 1-0. AT&T U-verse trivia question. After a lot of controversy last night, see if we can take care of business in Pittsburgh today. Francisco Liriano struck out 175 men last year. Named the last Pirates lefty with a 200 strikeout season.
Whoa. Do we have to go all the way back to Candelaria?
First name that popped to my head was Oliver Perez.
Good one. Yeah.
He had a couple of good years here in Pittsburgh. He threw hard in his day. Pitching out of the bullpen in Arizona. 3rd inning, Stewart, Liriano, and Harrison coming up for the Buccos. And Perez a strike. A lot of hand-wringing, teeth gnashing in Pittsburgh when Russell Martin left and signed a big contract with the Toronto Blue Jays. Rolled toward Uribe. Another ground ball. And another perfect play. 1 down. But the tandem of Cervelli and Stewart has done a terrific job this year for Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I think Cervelli's really surprised some people. Chris Stewart is an able-bodied backup and does a good job handling pitchers and calling pitches, framing them, what have you. Cervelli's been an offensive surprise. Hitting over 300.
So the Pirate catching core in good hands this year as Liriano bats. And takes a little low. 1 ball, no strikes. You mentioned Liriano is the comeback player of the year twice. That's really a testament to his love of the game and his desire to pitch. And that's down the left field line. Gomes will give it a look but won't have a play. 1-2.
One of the things, sometimes that award is given to people, to players who had a bad year last year and come back and have a good year. That to me is not a comeback player. That's just a guy who rebounded from a bad year. If you were hurt.
That's rolled out to second. Easy play. Easy out.
If you were out of the game for an extended period of time, but especially of an injury, those are the kind of guys that I think deserve the comeback player of the award, because they could have easily have cashed it in and not played anymore, and they persevered.
Well, one of his comeback player awards came after he had Tommy John surgery.
See, that's warranted.
But the 2013 comeback player of the year was with Pittsburgh. He went 16-8. After the 2012 season, saw him go 6-12 in 28 starts. So you're saying he should be 1 for 2.
Yeah.
In comeback player awards.
Yeah, but he's not alone in that. I have a fundamental problem with the guy who had a bad year and then he turns around and has a good year and he gets a comeback award. I don't buy that one.
That's inside to Josh Harrison. He's got a 2-0 count. And 0 for 1 batting line tonight. We look at the man that has more hits than anybody else in the National League since May 14th. Josh Harrison has 55 in that stretch. And his batting average reflects that. He's in the low 280s now. And he's got another one. 2-out single. Second Pirate hit. Both have come with 2 outs. And Neil Walker is the batter with Harrison at first.
Well, that explains a lot to me. I mean, you just got another base hit. But when you're red hot like that, then the shoe companies, they like to make sure that they get with the guy who's hot, who's going good, because people are going to see him. And they're liable to send you just about anything.
I don't know about those shoes, man. He's got his hitting shoes on.
Yes, he does.
If that's the secret, he'll take it. Harrison, a former Cub. Neil Walker hitting second.
Harrison, Walker, and McCutchen look like they made a pact tonight. They're showing a lot of socks.
When we last saw the Pirates, Walker was the cleanup hitter. And he hit a 3-run homer against Williams Perez in the 5th inning back at Turner Field, June 5th. A game the Pirates won 10-8. Braves staff 11 pickoffs this year. Perez had a good move there, but Harrison back safely. That's out of play, foul. Think about those shoes. Even if you're not a fast runner, you look fast wearing those, don't you?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's neon. It's just a flash of light. And the shoestrings kind of set it off too.
I hope Adidas sends us a pair for all the free publicity we're giving them here in the inning. And that one hit Walker. And that one smarted. So Walker on his way to first.
It smarted because he didn't make a whole lot of effort to get out of the way. You know, he didn't even pick his foot up. So I don't feel sorry for him.
Man, you're in a tough mood.
Yeah, well, lost 3 in a row.
Come back award, hit the road. Don't move, get hit, hit the road.
Nice shoes.
And here's McCutcheon with 2 on, 2 out. Perez struck him out in the first inning with a changeup. See what he's got in store with a 1-run lead now. That's a strike. The one that makes me crazy is the Rookie of the Year award that goes to the professional players from Japan or Korea or Mexico who come to the United States and play, and take the award from guys who are making their debut in a top professional league here, a la Hideo Nomo, Chipper Jones. First bit of trouble for Perez, and it's come with 2 outs, a hit and a hit batsman. Jammed him, popped up. Chris Johnson, foul ground, has room and makes the play, and Perez is out of trouble in the 3rd. We go to the 4th. Atlanta 1, Pirates nothing. A bases loaded walk. Fans, what's the key for the Braves to stay afloat in the National League Eastern race while Freddie Freeman is on the disabled list? Tweet us at Fox Sports South using hashtag #NextBraveUp, and your tweet could be read during Braves live postgame show. That's the cruel nature of our sport, really of any sport. As much as it pains you that Freddie Freeman is out, you can't worry about the fact that he's out. You have to go to work with the 25 men you do have. I love what Chris Johnson had to say. This game's on me. I'm here to hit lefties.
Right.
So he is the Braves' next man up tonight. And he's already picked up a base hit and has scored the game's only run. Uribe, Simmons, and Gomes are coming up against Liriano.
Braves had to make a roster move today. They placed Brandon Kniff on the disabled list. A strained groin. Something he's been trying to pitch with, and it just wasn't getting any better. And they called back up Sugar Ray Marimo. That bounced up there. Uribe took it. 2 balls and 1 strike.
Maybe he's about to go on a hot streak. Blue Pit in the second broke his 0 for 14 slide. And he takes ball 4. Third walk for Liriano tonight. Make him pay.
That's usually not an issue for him. 28 walks and 88 innings coming in. His last start against Washington was a loss. He walked 1 in 5 2/3 innings. In fact, it's the first time in 5 starts that he's walked more than 1.
So the Braves' patient approach paying dividends so far tonight. That's ball 1 high. Again, Stewart trying to get Liriano back into the strike zone. Slowly hit left side. Harrison, nice play. Nice turn. Double play. The Braves have hit the 3 double plays so far tonight. And quickly 2 out.
That was slick. If he doesn't cut this ball off, they may not get anybody. And Walker came across the bag kind of like a first baseman and caught the ball and threw it flat-footed.
So Pittsburgh's defense is keeping Liriano in this game. He's down a run, and Johnny Gomes the hitter. Gomes walked to load the bases in the second. Lavarnway scored the game's first run with a bases loaded free pass. That ball smoked to Harrison at third, and Liriano getting it on the ground. Now he turns it over to his offense. Down a run, 1-0. 3.5 in the books in Pittsburgh.
By AT&T Uverse, Delta Airlines, and your local Ford dealer.
What a difference baseball has seen in Pittsburgh. Old Three Rivers Stadium is no more. Now it's PNC Park, right on the banks of the Allegheny River, with a beautiful view of downtown Pittsburgh. And Williams Perez, gunning for his 5th consecutive victory, has a 1-0 lead after 3 innings. Starling Marte leads it off. He's the Pirates left fielder. One missed inside. To center. Perez has it. Marte is 0 for 2. One down.
Marte has an easy swing. Great hands. Ball jumps off his bat. He's going to be a good player for the Pirates for a long time.
That's what has to be so exciting for them. The core of their club, as I mentioned earlier, all their star offensive players are under 30 years of age. All of them. Including Marte, who's just 26. Neil Walker's the old man of the bunch. He's 29. McCutcheon's 28. Pedro Alvarez 28. They have a chance to be good for a long time. A bunt try is fouled away. Strike one.
Trying to beat the shift. Can't blame him for trying that. Braves, of course, don't mind him trying that because of his ability to hit the ball into the river.
Right back where it came from.
I'm really glad Perez got out of the way of that one. Just missed his left foot, and it was smoked.
Third Pirate hit, fourth Pirate base runner. They've also had a hit batsman. And Mercer is up. He had the first Pittsburgh hit, a double that sliced away from Yuri Perez in right center. See if Williams can get a double play ball. Pittsburgh's turned 3 double plays in the first 4 innings tonight. Washington's extended its lead in Philadelphia 2-0. Max Scherzer has a hit and has scored a run. The Nationals tonight are playing without Denard Span, and they're playing without Bryce Harper. Swing and a miss. By the way, Scherzer's perfect through 4. And their starters' scoreless streak now 45 1/3 innings. 1 ball, 1 strike for the Pirate shortstop Jordy Mercer. Ground ball toward third. Uribe stumbled a bit. Long throw to second. Long throw to first, and not in time. Great play by Uribe to start it, but 2 long throws enough for Mercer to beat it by a step at first.
This is knowing your base runners too. A lot of third basemen might have been tempted after that slight stumble to just get his feet under him and get the out at first. But with Alvarez running, who does not possess good running speed, Uribe knew he had time to get the lead runner. Good play.
So a faster runner at first. Alvarez forced at second. Polanco, the hitter, he struck out to end the Pittsburgh second. And a little low, ball 1. The Mets are in action tonight. They're tied with the Reds in the 4th inning. That's a 1-1 game. Way outside. The Mets have called up Steven Matz, their young left-hander, and they are going to go now with a 6-man rotation. They said
it'll be interesting to watch, to see how that works for them. There's so much emphasis placed on protecting starting pitching these days, especially young arms. See how it works for them.
Ground ball is foul at first. A couple of things in play for the Mets. They have excellent starting pitching. They have a woeful offense, but now they're finally home where they're 26-11 this year. Sandy Alderson said they are willing to pay for a bat if they can find one. No timetable yet for David Wright's return, out with a spinal problem. Pitch is over but low. Now Perez behind, 3 balls and a strike with Stewart the catcher on deck.
This is typically where he goes to his changeup. He trusts it.
That one not close. So a new set of strikes, 2 on, 2 out. And Stewart, the 8th place hitter, is coming up. First walk for Perez. Stewart's been around a while. As Joe said, he's been a backup catcher for most of his career. White Sox, Texas, Yankees, Padres, Giants, and now the Pirates. Roll foul, strike 1.
Oh, looked like he's about to hit him. Not as far inside as I thought. One of the things that will go unnoticed most of the time, but folks watching at home, if you want to watch something really good, watch LeBarnway behind the plate. He doesn't fight it. He moves well.
Broken bat. Simmons flagged it down. Long throw to first. And now look at what happened to Polanco. There's a man at third base already, and the Pirates are going to have a rundown. Chris Johnson to chase him back towards second. And the dive and the tag is applied by Peterson. Gregory Polanco went around second and was 3/4 of the way to third base, but he forgot one thing. Mercer was already standing there. Thank you very much. In the bottom of the 4th inning.
Well, I'll say this. He was really running hard. Great stop by Simmons. That saved a run at first. And now when Polanco just kept running, assuming, I guess, that Mercer was going to go home, he gets run down by Jace Peterson on a close play. Look at Johnny Gomes. Yeah, right there. Got him.
He gone. Wonder what Joey Jurasovich was thinking when Chris Johnson was running to first base or third base. That's how Joey got hurt in the spring.
Yeah, that's right.
So Polanco, after making the third out at third base, took his time in the Pirates dugout before gathering his belongings and moving out to right field. And the Braves dodge a bullet and maintain the lead. We're in the fifth now. Lavarnway, Perez, and Peterson coming up.
What I wanted you folks to watch and continue to watch through the game is how Lavarnway sets up, how he receives pitches, how he makes it look real easy and real comfortable. Stewart's good at that too. I mean, he's been back there for a long time. Those guys know how to do it.
Ryan has the lone Braves RBI tonight. Bases look walk. And it's an even count. 1 ball, 1 strike. Pirates might be a little sleep deprived. They played 13 innings at home last night. Ground ball. Diving play, Harrison. Long throw, great play.
I'll say.
Same story. If he doesn't get it, Mercer might. But even with Lavarnway's catcher speed, he might have beaten that out.
Yeah, this is all about the first step for Josh Harrison. Crossover step was quick. Excellent play.
Perez popped out in foul ground at first, back in the second. Up the middle. Walker at second. Has it. 2 outs.
He's getting his ground balls.
Yep.
I mean, one right after another.
He's just making it hard on himself by falling behind so many hitters.
Yeah. Double plays have saved him a lot of pitches tonight. But almost an equal number of balls to strikes.
(2006), a breakout year for Liriano. He went 12-3 with the Twins that year. Then had Tommy John surgery in 2007. He was originally a Giant. And a break for Peterson as Alvarez kicks one at first base. That'll be his 10th boot to the year.
It looked like a routine play. And he got a pretty good hop, but may have taken his eyes off of it a little too soon.
So an error on Alvarez brings up Yuri Perez, who's 2 for 2. More pitches for Liriano here in the 5th. So Liriano debuted in the big leagues with the Twins. He was originally a Giant. He was traded to Minnesota with Joe Nathan and Boof Bonser for A.J. Przinsky, you'll recall. That was before the 2004 season. Pittsburgh signed him as a free agent in February of 2013, and they've extended his contract through the 2017 year.
He threw a no-hitter while with Minnesota, May of 2011 at the White Sox. And there's one note attached to that. You know, he did walk some guys. He walked 6, struck out 2. But he went into that game with the highest ERA ever by a pitcher that then threw a no-hitter. His ERA going into that start was 9.13. And he pulled one out of somewhere. I don't know where he got it, but he did.
You told me that before the game, and I just gave you that look like, huh? Well, he had a 9-point ERA and threw a no-hitter. old fellow. I wonder if he and A.J. Burnett sit around and talk about, well, I had the worst no-hitter in history.
Yeah, right.
No, I did. I think A.J. had the 9-walk performance.
Yeah.
In his no-hitter with the Marlins. But that guy, happy to be back in Pittsburgh after a disappointing year with the Phillies. A.J. Burnett, a 2.01 ERA this year. And a swing and a miss. Best fastball of the night from Liriano, and he pitches around the Pedro Alvarez 5th inning error. 1-0 Atlanta. Good ball game in Pittsburgh tonight.
Is back. And that's when you see me. I'm looking at the throw, and I'm looking at Sid, and I know there's going to be a play at the plate. And that's when you see me just start jumping up and down. Just get down, get down. You know, he was safe. So I didn't know what to do. So I jumped on Sid. As soon as I jump on him, my feet go straight up in the air. And then here's everybody jumping on, and I'm underneath the pile, my feet straight up in the air. You know, just laying there, just hugging Sid. But what a night. That was an amazing night.
It was an amazing night. The night Sid slid in Atlanta at the old stadium. And these two franchises went in opposite directions for about 20 years.
You know, that's one of the nice things about when they built this ballpark. Things weren't going so well for the Pirates team. And it's hard to believe they're celebrating the 15th year at PNC Park. But boy, the fans have, not that they left, but they have come back in droves the last couple of years with the way the Pirates have played under Clint Hurdle.
This is the Pirates' 36th home game. As Liriano pops one up left side, Uribe and Simmons. It'll be Uribe at the tarp making the play. One out. They're averaging a little over 27,000 fans a night. And if they get 40,000 tonight, they'll go over 1 million in attendance this year. And there were years, as you said, when times were lean, even with this new ballpark. It was a struggle to get to 1 million. But they made the playoffs the last 2 years, trying to do it for a 3rd season in a row. Last time that happened for the Pirates, 90, 91, and 92. Here's Harrison. He's had a good night. A couple of fine plays at third base and a single last time up. Now that one got Perez's foot and he's down. Williams Perez got smoked with that comebacker, and Harrison did like the sound of that. And the Braves don't like it either. Jeff Porter, the Braves athletic trainer, on his way to the mound as Williams Perez face down in front of the hill.
First one missed him. That one was solid. the inside, maybe right on the ankle bone. Left leg. And his foot was planted too, so there wasn't any give in it.
Juan Uribe acting as an interpreter for Jeff Porter. Hitters want to hit the ball up the middle, but they'll tell you they don't want to see the pitcher get hit with a batted ball. And Perez had nowhere to go with that foot planted. And he is still down and being attended to. Freddie Gonzalez is on his way out to assess the situation. Braves bullpen beginning to stir as Perez gets to a knee.
I can't imagine he would be able to continue. It's his landing foot.
Crowd is watching the video replay and reacting. I'll tell you how hard that ball hit Perez's ankle. It bounced to within about 4 feet of the first base bag on a direct line to Chris Johnson.
He's pointing at an area on his instep. It's not his ankle, but more his foot, as was being described to by Juan Uribe to Jeff Porter.
Look how far that ball bounced, and look how fast that ball bounced to first. And the cruel truth of the game is Perez has to get one more out to qualify for the win. He's not through the fifth, and he wants a baseball. He's going to give it a go here. Obviously, what you don't want is for him to favor the foot so much that it alters his mechanics.
Well, you want to see if A, if the stride's the same, and B, if the follow through is the same. And if he's trying to favor it in any way where all the stress goes to his arm, that's the scary part. I am amazed.
Tough kid.
He'll go in the books as a 1-3.
Yeah. Now Walker, the batter. He has flied out and he's been hit by a pitch. He'll try to get on any way he can with McCutchen to follow. Pirates might try to bunt. See how that foot feels. No sign of it there. Ball one. A pop out and a comebacker. Base is empty in the fifth. And he's missed with 3 in a row.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but this is not the same delivery. There's not the same torque working off that landing foot. He's trying not to put weight on it.
And he missed with 4 in a row. Got to imagine somebody's going to get up and start to throw now. They're stirring out there.
Well, at this point, I don't know that you can make it one of those changes because of injury where a guy can come out of the bullpen and have all the time he needs to warm up. They could have earlier, but I don't know that you can now.
Not after he's faced a batter, no. So McCutchen bats. He is struck out and popped out. He's riding a 7-game home hitting streak, and Perez has missed with 5 in a row. All inside on the arm side. And he just balked.
Yeah, there was just a little flinch. He started to go into his stretch and didn't.
He's missed with 6 in a row.
McCutchen hitting .392 at men in scoring position.
And McCutchen got hit. He's lost the strike zone on the arm side.
Well, LeBarnway's looking in the dugout. Maybe he's looking at McCutchen, make sure he's going to first. But
I think Jeff Porter wants to check him out again, and Freddie Gonzalez will speak with the home plate umpire Bill Welke about this as well. Perez has missed with 7 straight. A walk and now hit batsman. You know he wants to stay in. He wants to try to get one more out. But his foot is not going to allow that to continue. The Braves are going to take him out of the ball game.
You know how when you hurt yourself in an incident like this, it hurts immediately, and then it starts throbbing. Then you put weight on it, it gets worse.
He's a tough kid. He wanted to stay in the game, but I think this is the right decision. 2 on, 2 out. Perez leaves the game with injury. We'll tell you who the new Braves pitcher will be in a moment.
The Home Depot. Let's do this. And the Georgia Lottery.
About a quarter mile from the confluence of the Allegheny, Monongahela, and Ohio rivers, it's PNC Park. It's a 1-0 Braves game. Williams Perez knocked out of the game on a comebacker off the bat of Josh Harrison. He faced 2 more hitters after that shot up the middle, but can't continue, and Luis Avilan is the man summoned from the Braves bullpen.
And he's the guy when you got inherited runners. He doesn't give up many of those guys and just need 1 out. And it appears that he's going to be given all the time he needed. He'd already thrown a few in the pen.
So 2 out, 2 on. And Starling Marte is the hitter. He is 0 for 2. flashback to June 5th. Marte enjoyed this matchup.
And the other way, no less.
One of the 12 homers Marte has hit for the Pirates this year. And a strike.
Went to that same spot, but threw a changeup, and it was a beaut.
That was aimed right at Freddie Gonzalez, who was able to duck behind the protective netting in the Braves dugout. Look alive, Freddie. Carlos Tosca looked like he was heading for the hills. Check swing and into the seats. No hitter for Max Scherzer tonight. Freddie Galvis doubled with 1 out in the 6th inning for the Phillies. They're trailing big though at home to Max Scherzer. Here it's 1-0 Braves. And a 2-strike pitch for Starling Marte is coming. And right back over the screen. He had a good cut.
Had a fastball. He did. Maybe too good of an 0-2 pitch. Kind of got splits like Chris Johnson. Good try.
Yep.
Surprised he didn't have to check his swing a little better than that.
One ball, 2 strikes now. Missed inside. He thought it was good enough.
It must not have come back enough. Well, that was a good pitch. Just a little inside.
Cue shot, slowly hit. Peterson, long run. Gloves, flips. Got him at first base. Marte called out at first base. That should end the inning. But Clint Hurdle says, I want another look.
Safe.
This is going to be overturned.
Safe again.
So Luis got the ground ball he wanted, but it was hit so slowly. Peterson had to run about 15 yards just to get to the ball. And Marte appeared to beat it. This call will probably be overturned.
Tom Payne is the umpire at first. John Hirschbeck, the crew chief, along with him on their headsets. Should get the word pretty quick on this one.
He's safe. A good challenge by the Pirates. And Pittsburgh now has the bases loaded with 2 outs. And Pedro Alvarez, the hitter.
Pedro Alvarez hitting .130 against lefties this year. He's 3 for 23. 9 strikeouts.
He's 0 for 3 against Avilan head to head. No place to put Pedro. 1-0 Atlanta. They're loaded. Pitch. Ball 1. Swing and a miss. Good pitch.
Good changeup tonight for Luis.
Broken bat, base hit. 1 run scores. Here comes McCutchen around third. The throw comes to third, and it's not in time. So after Williams Perez was hit by a comebacker, he stayed in the game through 7 pitches, issued a walk, hit a batter. He was taken out. Marte an infield hit. Alvarez a single to center. The Pirates lead.
Man, oh man, broken bat singles are killing the Braves lately.
The Braves may be contemplating a challenge at third base.
Fastball had the plate. I mean, it was inner third, but broke his bat and still dumped it in there. Looked like Uribe may have gotten the tag on him. It's on the back leg, maybe not.
So no challenge by the Braves. Both runs charged to Williams Perez. Now Jordy Mercer bats. He's reached twice tonight. And a strike. It's 0-1. One ball, 1 strike. And that's fouled off of Arnway behind the plate. It's 1-2. Pittsburgh 2, Atlanta 1. We're in the 5th. Good work by Mercer to stay alive on that changeup. It's 1-2 still. The game changed on a batted ball off the ankle or instep of Williams Perez. Now Pittsburgh leads, and the pitch is cut on and missed. And that'll retire the side. Pittsburgh scores 2 runs, 2 hits. And we go to the 6th. Now 2-1 Pirates in front. Save lives. Join the Atlanta Braves and the American Red Cross tomorrow from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. for the Braves All-American Blood Drive at Turner Field's 755 Club. Donors get a t-shirt and 2 tickets to the August 29th Braves-Yankees game. Wow, for more information, go to braves.com/blood drive. Pittsburgh, with 2 in the 5th, has taken a 2-1 lead, and as soon as we have information on Williams Perez, we'll pass it along. Now the Braves bats have to go to work. Atlanta has scored 14 runs in the last 8 games, including 1 tonight. It's going to take 3 runs to win this game. Long rest for Liriano, who has not been sharp. He's been bailed out by 3 double plays turned by the Pirates defense. He's had base runners all over the place tonight. 3 walks, an error, and he's allowed 4 hits. A good pitch there evens the count for Markakis. 1 ball, 1 strike. Harrison at third. Thought about charging. Let the spin run its course, and he makes a nice play to get Nick. 1 out.
Well, it'll be interesting to see now how Liriano works with the lead. Maybe he can loosen up a little bit or be more aggressive, even though it's just 1 run.
Braves scored their run on a bases loaded walk in the 2nd. Chris Johnson scored that run after leading off the inning with a solid single. Now to play foul. Braves are in a real offensive rut. Goes without saying. They've scored a run or less in 4 consecutive games.
Tough to win. Pitch there. Change up.
Wants it up. Got it there, but it was too far inside. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
He hasn't used his slider much tonight because it's pretty much been ineffective. But we're about to see one here, I think. Chris fouled it off of his leg, I think, didn't he? That had to hurt. May have caught the part of the shin guard he's wearing, but hit it right into his own leg.
Porter will track down the foul ball. And a swing and a miss. 3rd strikeout for Liriano. 2 quick outs in the inning.
Chris is limping a little bit. Another good changeup. Boy, can't put it in a better place than that.
Strike outside corner for Uribe. Braves will not see Garrett Cole. They will not see A.J. Burnett in this series. Those men are 17-6 this year. That's hammered deep center. McCutchen on the run at the wall. Leaping try, won't get it. Uribe has hit a homer, and that ties the game at 2.
Tell you what, Juan got something. Talk about him being a high fastball hitter. He got something down a little bit in, and he turned the wind around. There's a little breeze blowing straight in, and he hit it right into the wind.
His first homer since May 31st when he hit one off Madison Bumgarner. New life for the Braves, tied 2-2. And now a shot off the bat of Simmons. McCutchen will reach up and make the play, and that will retire the side. Uribe, a 2-out solo homer. We're tied up again, 2-2 ball game. Still fill out your 2015 Esurance MLB All-Star Game ballot now at Braves.com. Voting is exclusively online and available on your computer, tablet, and smartphone. Vote up to 35 times at Braves.com for your favorite Braves All-Star. New life. Juan Uribe's homer.
Yeah, I like the fact that it just took Williams Perez off the hook. Those runs were charged to him, so he was going to get the loss if things remained that way. So now it's on the bullpen and the offense to put a W in the column.
Well, that snaps the streak of 4 consecutive games with a run or less for Atlanta. They've got 2 tonight. And now Avalon will face Polanco, Stewart, and then the Pirates pitcher, Francisco Liriano. Polanco wore the goat horns his last time up. After Stewart's base hit, he rounded second, took third, but Jordy Mercer was standing on third base. Let's not forget the diving stop by Simmons on that play. Kept it on the infield and helped create that Pirate base running havoc. Braves trying to squeeze a full inning out of Avalon here. His spot's due third when the Braves bat in the 7th. 2 balls and a strike. Swing and a miss. Don't want to walk this guy. Polanco's got 17 stolen bases. Make him earn it. He's a .237 hitter. And sprayed foul out of play. Like Pedro Alvarez, Polanco's had his share of troubles against left-handed pitching. He's only 5 for 35 against them, with 13 strikeouts.
That's why he and Tabata split time when the lefty goes.
Peterson at second will handle a sinking liner, and Polanco is the first out.
Well, if we could just hang on to this weather through the weekend, we'd be in business.
Nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
We're told that the rain in Pittsburgh is supposed to start sometime after midnight and not stop until Sunday. We're already talking about flood advisories, small craft advisories. There's apparently a big boating festival that's supposed to take place down at the point. Be hundreds of boats out of the river here. As Stewart rolls out to second, 2 out. I would assume those plans would be in jeopardy if it rains as hard as they say it's going to overnight and all day tomorrow. Well, we can't worry about that. Let's worry about tonight.
Yeah, might need a big anchor.
There you go. Here's Liriano, 0 for 2. Two quick strikes. Nick Massett will be the Braves pitcher in the bottom of the 7th inning. Avalon spot due third when the Braves come up. Base is empty, 2 outs. And here it is. Strike 3 called, inning over. Avalon has a 1-2-3 frame, and we go to the 7th in Pittsburgh. Braves 2, Pirates 2. Game 1 at PNC Park. 7th inning. It's a 2-2 game. It's not a surprise to see the Braves and Pirates play a close game. Look at this. Our Crack Stats staff found this. Since 2011, the last 30 games have been split evenly, 15-15 between the Braves and Pirates. Only 1 run different. 3 more home runs hit by the Pirates, and the ERA almost identical. Pretty incredible. Hopefully Atlanta can finish tonight's play 1 run ahead in game 1 of the series. They've got the bottom part of the order coming up. Gomes, Lavarnway, and then a pinch hitter for Luis Avilan. 2-2 game. Williams, Perez, and Francisco Liriano, tonight's starting pitchers. Perez knocked out of the game in the 5th. No update yet as to the exact nature of his injury. And a strike to Johnny Gomes. Gomes has walked, and he has rolled out to 3rd tonight. Bell-tied strike. 0-2.
That leadoff guy on and see what happens. Get back to manufacturing some runs.
Taken low. Even count. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Did he go? He did not. Stewart with a long look at John Tumpane. Lavarnway next. From an 0-2 count to a full count for Johnny Gomes. Fly ball left, pretty well hit, but it's playable, and it's caught for out number 1.
Wind definitely affected that one.
Like I said earlier tonight, you really have to hit it hard to hit it out in Pittsburgh in left field. Right down the line, you got a shot if you don't hit it really, really well. Lavarnway bats. He has one of the Braves' RBIs tonight. He's also robbed at 3rd by Harrison. And a strike. A shot to right. It's in for a hit. Lavarnway's got a base hit with 1 out. Now the Braves will go to the bench. It's Joey Trdoslavich. Luis Avilan went an inning and a 3rd with a couple of strikeouts and a couple of hits.
A little bit off the end of the bat, but that works. Ball running away from Ryan.
Joey 1 for 5 this year. That hit a big one, a home run. And a slow roller toward 3rd. Harrison's got it. Long throw. It's to 1st and in time. Trdoslavich out on the 1st pitch. Lavarnway at 2nd. 2 outs for Jace Peterson.
Do they play music after every out?
Pretty much.
Every batter?
Yeah, pretty much.
Huh.
I've got the greatest marketing idea in the history of baseball. We could get one of the hearing aid companies to sponsor a half inning and just call it the Sound of Silence inning.
Oh, in-game entertainment people would have a hissy fit.
It's only 1 inning, 1 out of 9.
I don't care.
11%.
I don't care.
Just hear the umpires call balls and strikes. Hear the crack of the bat. The blessed relief. Swing and a miss. 0-2.
Tough lefty for Jace to get going again.
Did he go that time? Nope. 2 check swings go the Braves' way in the inning. And the count 1-2.
Cross him up here, Jason. Go to left field. Try to take something the other way. He's tried to pull everything tonight. He's rolled over one to first. There's been an error at first, and he struck out trying to pull a pitch away.
He did try to go to left, popped it up though in foul ground at third base. Harrison near the tarp makes the play. And on a night when Liriano didn't have great stuff, he's had great results. He's in a 2-2 game, 7th inning stretch. Juan Uribe's homer in the Atlanta 6th has tied our game 2-2. Pittsburgh coming up in the 7th with the top of their order due. Harrison, Walker, and Andrew McCutchen. Atlanta will go into its bullpen for a second time. It'll be Nick Massett, who appears in his 24th game for the Braves.
And he'll try to keep his streak working. Was not allowed an earned run in his last 9 outings, over 6 2/3. Top of the order. It's important to get this guy.
Andrew Massett's had a lot of experience against the Pirates. He was a former Red. And that is the case. Harrison 0-2 against Nick Massett. He's 1 for 3 at the plate tonight, a 3rd inning single. And ball 1 missed outside. Mets 2, Reds 1, 8th inning in New York. Washington 6-1, 5-1, I beg your pardon, over the Phillies. Game late at the Bank Vault. Roller towards Simmons at short. Tricky hop, stayed with it and got his man. 1 down. Dodgers are in Miami tonight, winning that game 6-1 in the 7th. Cardinals lead the Cubs 1-0 in the 4th inning. At Busch Stadium, big series for the Cubs and Cardinals, as it always is.
Hey, you know that deal with Ryan Sandberg resigning?
Yeah.
And he cited the losing really taken its toll on him, and he hates to lose. Well, we all hate to lose, but it was mounting on him for sure. However, it crossed my mind that when Andy MacPhail, who's been rumored to be hired by the Phillies to run that organization, when Andy MacPhail was with the Cubs, he had an opportunity or two to hire Ryan Sandberg as a manager and passed over him. And do you suppose this resignation had anything to do with the impending hiring of Andy MacPhail?
Well, Ryan Sandberg was asked that in the press conference
was
today,
he?
and I'll paraphrase because I can't remember word for word exactly how he replied. Swing and a miss. Walker is down on strikes. Massett gets his first 2 men. Ryan Sandberg said, look, I don't really have much of a leg to stand on. The record is mine and mine alone. I'm the manager of the team, and this is my record. Secondly, he felt that there was going to be a dramatic shift in the front office of the Phillies, and he didn't want to stand in the way if they wanted to go in another direction. And that, in combination with all the losing and all the frustration, all the problems the Phillies have had, he felt that it would be better to step down now and let them go ahead and start the process as opposed to waiting 4 weeks or 5 weeks until, if his rumor is true, Andy MacPhail gets in and gets his staff in place. The Phillies can use that time to maybe go out and get their next manager. Does that make sense?
No.
Nope.
Not to me.
1-0 pitch. Rifled into center by McCutchen. Ball sounds different off his bat, doesn't it?
I mean, I'll take him at his word because Ryan Sandberg's a really good baseball man. But there's just, maybe I'm trying to read too much into it between the lines, so to speak, that I don't know. I'm going to step aside while they find somebody. Something about that doesn't.
Well, they had the dugout confrontation with Ken Giles. Remember, he was upset about how he was used, and that took place. You had the long pitching outing by Jeff Francoeur and the bullpen phone problem in the last couple of weeks. That was embarrassing for the Phillies. And those of us who have known Ryan Sandberg, he's a very quiet, very laid back, almost shy personality. That's a very difficult media market to deal with.
You bet. With
a bad team and a introverted personality. I'm sure all of that factored in too.
Oh, good stop.
So Pete Mackanin will be the interim manager for the Phillies. Ruben Amaro and Pat Gillick were also on the podium today. Ryan Sandberg walked into the ballpark at 10 o'clock this morning and made his desires known to step down. Ruben Amaro said this really came out of the blue. It was their expectation that Ryan Sandberg would manage the rest of the season. That obviously isn't going to happen.
McCutchen with that bad knee, I don't know if it's going to affect his willingness to run or not. The one that slowed him down, but this would be a prime opportunity for him to go if his knee is up to it.
He's only tried 5 times this year. Last year he was 18 for 21. Two balls, no strikes for Starling Marte. 12 homers and 16 hits against the Braves in his last 11 games. Outfield very deep for him in center and left. McCutchen is running. The pitch outside. LaVarnway's throw is on target and not in time. McCutchen dived in safely and is in scoring position with 2 outs.
He got a good jump, and Massett was very slow to the plate on that delivery. The only thing that made it close is a good throw from LaVarnway.
So a 3-0 count. And Marte made him throw a strike, and he did. Pedro Alvarez has knocked in both Pirates runs. He's on deck. Swing, fly ball, hammered toward left. Gomes on the run at the track is going to haul it in. Marte gave it a ride to deep left. The wind helped mass it, and it keeps the game tied going to the 8th inning.
Game at 2 here in the top of the 8th inning, and this series is a homecoming for Braves closer Jason Gurley. The last time he pitched at this ballpark, he was the closer for the 2013 Pirates. He was part of a bullpen that was known as the Shark Tank. He helped them go to the playoffs for the first time in over 20 years, and he was an all-star that year. So talked to Jason earlier. He said it's great to be back. He's bought a home here. He considers this home. He was out shopping earlier. All the people in town looking at him like, we know you. Well, the Braves are in town now, and he said as far as wearing a Braves uniform, he said he's really confident in the bullpen and where they're at right now. He says we're at a point where everybody knows their role, and we're giving the offense a chance to catch up at the end of the game. And he says he's had the same confidence in them all season long, and it feels good to be a part of it right now, guys.
Thank you, Christina. Let's hope the Braves can get really in the game. That means they would have a lead in the 9th. And they've got to get a lead against Jared Hughes, who's the second Pirates pitcher of the game. Liriano went 7 innings of 6 hit 2-run ball. No decision for him. And a sharply hit ball. What a stop by Harrison. He took away a double.
Man, oh man. What a night he's having with the glove.
Must be the shoes. That was an amazing play.
Somebody might send him a glove to match the shoes.
He's had a golden one tonight.
Right out in the web of the glove.
And a perfect throw. Josh Harrison having a great night tonight. Here's Markakis, base is empty, and a strike from Hughes.
7 innings, 5 hits, 2 runs for the third.
Hughes will turn 30 on the 4th of July. 4th round pick in 2006 by the Pirates. And he gets a ground ball towards second. And the throw to first is in time. 2 out. Got 15 ground ball outs recorded by the Pirates in this game, including 3 double plays.
Goodness.
That is just what their pitching coach Ray Searage wants. Chris Johnson 1 for 3. Second inning single. He scored on a bases loaded walk.
Jared Hughes has had a good streak working of his own. He's been scored on just 3 times in his last 23 outings. Johnson ready to come in.
Hughes was a teammate with Evan Longoria and Troy Tulowitzki at Long Beach State. Foul ball, left side, tricky hop. Great play by the shortstop Mercer. That had a funny bounce, but he stayed with it, and the Braves are done in the 8th. Hugs bobblehead night Tuesday, July 21st, when the Dodgers are in town. The first 20,000 fans through the gates get a bobblehead featuring Freddie Freeman and Johnny Gomes. Don't miss out on this limited edition bobblehead. Get them at Braves.com/tickets. Get your seats today. One and only visit by the Dodgers to Atlanta in 2015. Jim Johnson appears tonight.
We've got all kinds of things going on with the Johnsons right now. We got Jim Johnson in the game. We got Chris Johnson out of the game. So put in another Johnson.
Kelly Johnson
at first base.
Pedro Alvarez leads off and greets Jim with a scorched line drive foul down the left field line. Strike one. Pedro's had a good night tonight. 2 singles, 2 RBIs. A broken bat hit in the 5th off Luis Avilan. Brought home 2 runners for the Pirates. His runners reached after Williams Perez was hit on the foot by a comebacker. He threw 8 pitches out of the zone, a walk and a hit batsman. And with the bases loaded, Alvarez delivered the go-ahead run. The Braves tied it in the 6th on Juan Uribe's 2-out solo homer to center field. As we told you, not a surprise. The Braves and Pirates playing to a tie. Swing and a miss. Alvarez didn't get it. That was a head-high fastball. Nasty pitch, 1 out.
Went with some high cheese here. High target delivered there. Good start for JJ after KJ went to first.
Jordy Mercer fouled a sinker away. Strike one. Way outside. It's an even count. Right back where it came from. Pittsburgh's taken it up the middle a couple of times tonight. And Mercer has a 2-hit game. And that'll bring up Gregory Polanco.
It's 5 hits for him in 4 games against Atlanta. Right over the pitching rubber. Good that Jim got out of the way of that one.
Polanco saw Johnson down in Atlanta and picked up a hit. He's 0 for 2 with a walk tonight. 4 hits in his last 32 tries. Slowly hit towards second. Peterson the flip to Simmons. The return to first in time. It's a double play. So the Braves are able to get a twin killing. That retires the Pirates in the 8th, and we go to the 9th. It's a 2-2 score, game 1 in Pittsburgh. Not enough to change it, I don't think.
I don't think so.
He thought Polanco might have beaten the rap. Let's see if there's enough evidence to overturn the out call at first.
I think he's out this time. I don't think there's enough there to overturn it. Looked like Polanco, you know, he's running hard, but then he looked to see where the throw was coming from Simmons, and he was off stride at first, so he had to, like, not stutter step exactly, but shorten his stride to make sure that he hit it correctly, and may have cost him.
And this is the part of replay that the players really don't like. When you get caught on an inning-ending play like this, the Braves are ready to go to the dugout. The Pirates haven't been able to take the field and get their pitcher warmed up. But for Clint Hurdle, he's already challenged a call and won. Why not take advantage and see what happens if the call is overturned at first? If it is, Polanco will be at first with 2 outs, and Chris Stewart, the catcher, will be coming up. Sort of been the talk of Major League Baseball the last week or so is how baseball can improve instant replay. Joe Madden was very vocal about it, the Cubs manager. He doesn't like the idea that it's umpires making the decisions at network control with regards to these close plays, and the bailout of inconclusive evidence is somewhat distasteful to the Cubs manager. He would much rather have someone who is not an umpire making what he feels to be an impartial decision, as opposed to an umpire overruling a fellow umpire. Perhaps that's something that will be talked about in the offseason. But for now, we await the decision from New York, and the decision is he's out. Probably not enough evidence to change the call. It is a double play officially, and it will send the game to the 9th inning. So 2-2 is our score. The Braves look to take the lead. We'll see if they can do it when we come back.
SI Security, Georgia Power, and Toyota.
We go to the 9th. Our game tied to apiece. Let's answer our AT&T Uverse trivia question. Francisco Liriano struck out 175 men last year. Name the last Pirate left-handed pitcher with a 200 strikeout season.
I liked your choice. I'm going to stick with a flashback to John Candelaria.
And I'll say Oliver Perez. Let's see if either one of us is right.
Way to go.
Oliver Perez in 2004. First pitch, Uribe. Keeps hitting it to the wrong guy. Harrison's had a great night at third, and he's made another good play. 1 out. I thought for sure Joe Oliver Perez was going to be on his way to 10 years of 15 wins a year. But it just didn't work out for him, unfortunately, as a starter here in Pittsburgh. But he's kept his career alive by being a very effective left-handed relief pitcher.
Yeah, he's done a good job for Arizona.
One out for Simmons. Another ground ball. Wonder how often they have to resod the infield.
Boy.
I've got him with 18 ground ball outs. 18. We're in the 9th inning. Johnny Gomes 0 for 2 with a walk. Hit a long fly ball to left back in the 7th. The ballpark big enough to hold it. Can't believe in a 2-2 game we're actually seeing fans walking across the Clemente Bridge to head back to downtown Pittsburgh. We got a great game tonight. Nothing's decided yet. Popped him up. Mercer at short, back pedals, and he's got plenty of room. And that's the inning. We head to the bottom of the 9th inning. Stewart, the pitcher spot, and then Harrison coming up. Atlanta 2, Pittsburgh 2.
Atlanta Braves baseball is right stuff, low price every day.
2-2 game. We head to the fateful home ninth. Johnson back out for another frame for the Braves relief corps. They'll have the 8, 9, and 1 hitters coming up for the Pirates. Changes defensively for the Braves. Cameron Maben checks in to play center field. And Yuri Perez has shifted to left. And a strike to Chris Stewart. He's 1 for 3 tonight.
Yeah, quick inning for Jim Johnson. Last inning allows him to go an extra one.
Left side, Simmons, catcher running, got him by a stride, 1 out. Jang Ho Gong is the Korean shortstop, and he's going to grab a bat and pinch hit. Gong will dig in with 1 out. A .337 hitter at home.
He's throwing hard and has been for his last half dozen to dozen outings. He's had good late movement on that sinker, but it's been around 94, 95.
Gong with terrific numbers in the Korean baseball organization. He's ahead in the count, 3 balls and a strike. Kind of night that man's had. You don't want to see him hit with anybody on base. And Josh Harrison will do just that. A 1-out walk. Harrison with a 3rd inning hit. But several highlight-worthy defensive plays at third base.
And it was his shot back through the middle that plunked Williams Perez and ultimately knocked him out of the game, too.
Gong has a good lead at first. And a breaking ball missed high. 1 ball, no strikes. Walker is next, barring a double play.
Kong is 4 for 4 on stolen bases.
That painted a corner at 96 miles an hour. Pittsburgh played 13 last night. Braves want to see a 10th inning tonight. 1 ball, 1 strike. Rolled slowly at third, foul.
So far tonight, Braves done a good job on Harrison and getting him to hit the ball on the ground. Granted, one of them was really hard off Williams Perez's foot, but they have mixed their pitches well on him and kept him off balance.
popped up and headed for the stands and out of play.
That was a breaking ball. It was almost as high as his helmet, and he still chased it.
Big crowd in Pittsburgh on its feet. 1-2 pitch. And Harrison fought it off. Smoke towards short. Simmons with a bullet to first. It's off Kelly's glove. And now Gong on his way to second base. They had him doubled up, but Kelly couldn't handle the return throw, and the winning run in scoring position with 2 outs. It's a Johnson error on the line out by Harrison.
Boy, they had him too. You're right, Chip. I don't know if Kelly had to step toward Andrelton and then reach over Kong and may have shortened his reach a little bit. See right here, perfect view of it. Yeah. Runner was sliding under him and he was trying to reach over the top of him, but he still should have had it.
Now a tough hitter, switch hitter, Neil Walker. He's walked twice, has walked once tonight, has been hit by a pitch and struck out.
Base open, but McCutchen on deck.
Outfield shortens up in center and left. Markakis normal depth in right. One ball, no strikes.
Oh, that was a good pitch. Johnson wanted that. A little low. Well, PNC Bank box track shows you it was right on the line. Barnway didn't have the luxury of trying to frame that one, and it's awfully hard to do that on low pitches, but could have gone either way.
Nasty pitch. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Gong, the potential winning run. He's at second. 2 balls, 2 strikes. 2-2 game. 2 outs in the 9th. And a ground ball. Uribe knocked it down. Can't get to his feet cleanly. Gong couldn't get back to the bag and is tagged out. He slipped around third, and Uribe was able to tag him out. 2 big base running blunders by the Pirates in the ball game tonight. And Clint Hurdle might want to take a look at this one on review. What a break for the Bravos.
Great stop, number 1. Juan checks the runner at third base and sees that he's rounded it too far. The dive back. He ultimately got there, but it looked like the tag got there first.
This is a huge replay.
I thought he was out of reviews, honestly.
I think you get him back in the 7th inning if you get 2.
Yeah, that's
so
right.
From the 7th inning on, even if you're out of challenges, you get 1 in the last couple of innings. The scoring on that play is an infield hit for Walker. Gong was tagged out 5 unassisted on the play at third base.
Now watching the replay, Hirschbeck was real close. He could see what was going on in terms of Kong trying to get back to the bag. But I don't know if he could see around the corner of the bag to see if his hand was actually there.
What the Pirates are thinking is the tag came up by the elbow, and if that's the case, you see the tips of the fingers touching the bag. The Braves are hoping that there's not enough evidence to overturn the out call at third base. If the call is upheld, the inning's over. If it's not, Pittsburgh's got him at first and third. And this one might take a few minutes. It was that close.
If they overturn this, reaching. I don't know if his hand moved off the bag when he tagged him either. But if they overturn this, what a relief for Kong. He's been out at first, he's been out at third, and he'd still be alive.
Yeah. But boy, the Pirates base running in this game.
Here we
2
go.
big blunders. And he is out. Thank you. We will have free baseball in Pittsburgh. 10th inning, 2-2 game.
Beef jerky all season long. Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Feed your wild side.
Star Wars fans, join us at Turner Field Friday, July 3rd. Dress up as your favorite Star Wars character, and you can march in a pregame parade around the field. The ticket package includes a limited edition Jason Grilly Rebel bobblehead, a ticket to the game, and it gets you onto the field for the pregame parade. For more information, go to Braves.com/Star Wars. Free baseball in Pittsburgh, 2-2. Base running's been a problem for the Buccos the last couple of games. Here's what happened in the 12th inning last night against the Reds. First and second for Pittsburgh. A line drive right in front of Neil Walker. Joey Votto with the catch and tag. That forced a 13th inning. The inning in which the Reds got a Brandon Phillips game-winning homer. 2 base running blunders by the Pirates tonight. Gregory Polanco and Jung Ho Gong forces Inning number 10. Mark Melancon's their closer. He's had a terrific year, maybe an all-star year for Pittsburgh.
Well, say a 177 ERA, only one blown save, and with no save opportunity in an extra inning game, he's in here in the 10th.
And he'll face the 8, 9, and 1 hitters on the lineup card: LaVarn Wake, Kelly Johnson, and then Jace Peterson. First pitch grounded out to second. Harrison kicks it, but recovers in time and makes the play. Harrison moves from third to second. We keep hitting at him. Jung Ho Kong is now at third base. That's about the only thing Harrison hasn't caught cleanly tonight, but no harm, no foul. One out. And another ground ball out.
No more pressure on Kong at third base now because of the way Harrison was playing. He's got to make all the plays comparable to his teammate.
Kelly Johnson, the batter. And he scorches one foul to the left side.
Melanson throws hard. He's in the low to mid 90s, but it's his cutter that separates him. He's got a good hard cutter that runs in on left-handers' hands. Also a good curveball.
Kelly almost got hit. You pitch in the Yankees chain and you've got Mariano Rivera around and you don't want to learn the cutter, shame on you. And Melancon did learn it. Little roller, bouncing ball right side, and easy play, 2 out.
How many times have you said little roller tonight?
About 47,000 times.
You know, there used to be guys like I can think back to Billy Swift. Remember Billy?
Yeah.
He was a sinker baller out of University of Maine, and the pitching coach in Seattle had made a deal with him that if he were to get 18 ground balls in an outing in a start, he'd buy him a new suit or something like that. There was an incentive there to keep throwing that sinker and get those ground balls. They'd have to outfit the whole Pirates pitching staff tonight.
Their ground ball rate in the month of June is 53%. Over half of the balls that are put in play or outs that are ground balls. Not to mention all the strikeouts that Burnett and Cole rack up, and Liriano. So outfielders really get a break when they play behind this Pittsburgh pitching staff and in this ballpark too. Jace Peterson is 0 for 4 tonight. And a strike. Is the corner. Peterson can run. The Braves will take a walk if he can get it. Now it's full count.
That's when you know you've got a good pitch, when you know you can throw it for a strike anytime you want. That was the cutter, a backdoor cutter, 3-1 for a strike.
Down to the plate. Yuri Perez would love to hit in the 10th. The last Braves hit was in the 7th. One way, a 1-out hit. Braves only have 2 hits since the 4th inning. They have 6 in total tonight. was blooped into the Pirates dugout. And Jace is still alive. Washington won tonight. Dodgers beat Miami tonight. Mets beat Cincinnati tonight 2-1. Here it's 2-2. And Peterson walks with 2 out.
He earned that walk.
Two hits, a strikeout, and a ground out for Perez. Boy, what a rob job by Josh Harrison in the 8th inning. Perez smoked the ball right down the third base line, and Harrison made a marvelous play to retire him.
Yeah, he was leading off the inning. Would have been at least at second, maybe third. So let's see if Jace plays it safe or if he tries to go to second.
He's got a good lead. Not going. And the pitch is strike.
Stewart's one of those guys behind the plate that when he does have a guy running, he looks like an infielder when he catches and throws, the way he gets rid of it so quickly.
Rolled toward Gong at third. That is a foul ball. Foul ball. Pedro Alvarez is walking toward the Pirate dugout. It is ruled foul by the home plate umpire, Bill Welke. That's his call. Peterson to first. Perez back to the plate. And the count is 0-2. Gong did the right thing. Follow through on the play.
Yeah, he can't umpire and make the play, so you go ahead and finish it like it was fair because you don't know. Big lead.
Swing and a miss. And this game heads to the bottom of the 10th inning. Former Pirate Jason Grilli is going to come on for Atlanta. We'll see what kind of response he gets, as that's the trio he'll face. 2-2 game in Pittsburgh. Andrew McCutchen leads things off for the Pirates in the bottom of the 10th inning. Starling Marte and Pedro Alvarez are coming up, and they'll have to face their former teammate Jason Grilli, who pitched so well for the Pirates from 2011 until the trading deadline last year when he was traded to the Angels.
Second time already on this trip where he's been brought in a tie game and not in a position to get a save. Of course, so far on this road trip, the Braves haven't been in that spot. Worked an inning at Washington a couple of days ago, gave up a hit, ordered a strikeout.
Swing and a drive on the first pitch toward left. That ball's going to hop into the stands on the first pitch of the inning. McCutchen doubles. That was a laser beam.
Like all good hitters whose bats stay in the zone a long time, his is quick, but it stays flat and through the zone for a very long time.
And you said earlier tonight they love the first pitch.
And certainly comes back to haunt the Braves here.
20 doubles for McCutchen, who's already scored 1 run. The Braves will take the bat out of the hands of Marte and try to set up a double play. It'll be first and second, nobody out in the 10th. The way Marte has hit Atlanta, there's no way you can pitch to him. Got a slower runner in Alvarez coming up. Pedro Alvarez 2 for 4 tonight. His second hit was a 2-run scoring single. Here's a surprising stat. Pedro Alvarez 213 at bats this year. 1 double play.
That is surprising. Be nice to make it 2 right here.
McCutchen, the only runner that matters for Grilli. The pitch. And he was swinging for the fences and just missed. Wow. Strike 1.
Well, first pitch again. Hacking away.
Another good cut. Now it's 0-2. Alvarez is second on the Pirate team in strikeouts.
He's swinging, so don't think that you've got to make a good waste pitch. You can be off the plate a little bit, and he's still going to be going after it.
A double and an intentional walk in the Pirate 10th.
Now that was kind of like the pitch that Avilan made to him. Avilan's pitch was in, but not in far enough where he was able to muscle it into shallow center to drive in 2 runs. That was a breaking ball, biting in on him, and he still fought it off. Outfield has to play shallow. You got to charge hard and throw hard if one gets through.
Strike 3 outside corner. Alvarez took it. A perfect pitch.
PNC Bank box tracks all over the corner. Nice job by Lavarnway to steal that one.
Big out. Now a ground ball could get you out of the inning. Mercer, though, is 2 for 4. And that's out of play. Boy, McCutcheon's dancing around at second. He had the look of a man wanting to steal third, or at least to try it. But Peterson and Simmons are sticking on him like glue at second base.
Last pitch, trying to get that walking lead, and he was mad because he had the momentum going to third if he had crossed over. Stealing third, the guys who are good at, they like to keep walking, keep moving, and it's up to the pitcher to make you stop. Don't let you get that walking lead.
Look at how close Peterson and Simmons are at the second base bag. A lot of hitting room for Mercer with 2 on and 1 out. Nice stop. Even count. Once really begins to make his move to the plate, Simmons retreats to his normal spot at short.
Mercer's one of those guys, he's already proven to the Braves that he'll hit the ball where it's pitched. So trying to bird dog McCutcheon leaves some openings on the right side for sure.
Good rip. 1-2.
And he got a pitch to take that way and missed it.
Fly ball, that's well hit. Markakis going back, wanting track. It's over his head. It's off the wall. McCutcheon around third will score without a play, and the Pirates walk off in the 10th. Our SunTrust save of the game. Joe called it. Mercer can hit it where it's pitched, and he drove it off the scoreboard and right. A game-winning hit.
Nick Markakis knew his best opportunity was to catch the ball as opposed to trying to play it off the fence. Now, McCutcheon had gone halfway. When he saw that it was kind of over Markakis' head, he was off to the races. I don't know, even a perfect play off the wall, they wouldn't have gotten him.
So the Pirates in extra innings for the second straight game, this time come out on top. 3-2 the final in game 1 of a thrilling start to this series in Pittsburgh.